My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're talking to the cast of Heels, which is a story about the men and women who chase their dreams in the world of small-town pro wrestling. Set in a close-knit Georgia community, it follows a family-owned wrestling promotion as two brothers and rivals, Jack Spade and Ace Spade, are at war over their late father's legacy while working to find their identity and their individual versions of success. So, to start us off about what we can expect this season, here's Stephen Amell and Alexander Ludwig. I wanted to start off with, obviously last season, there was a lot of effect between Jack and Ace from their father's death. We lean into that very heavy, specifically in the first episode and then coming back. How have both brothers kind of been affected by their father, and how does that play out throughout this season in particular?
I mean, for me, Jack says it, and it's just very simple. Like, I need to find who I was before my dad shot himself in the head, because that person's gone. He just lays it out, and that was really satisfying for me, because that was one of those unanswered questions from the first season. Like, what's this guy's deal, right? And you think you know, but then as a nice gift for me as an actor, our showrunner just laid it all out for us. It's like, no, this is what happened. So yeah, I mean, clearly anything and everything that happens in this show is because of what Tom Spade did to himself.
I would agree. I mean, this has always been a show about family and wrestling and identity. And Ace is not where Jack is yet. He is a mess, and he's trying to put the pieces back together, but he doesn't know how. And he's acting out like a child because he feels like a child. And I think this season you start to see the beginnings of what this could be.
And, how did the two brothers come back from this? Because last season was so bad between the two of them in that final 2 minutes, and we see them kind of separate, this season. So how do they come back from it? And what can fans kind of expect to see with their relationship for this season?
I think that's the beauty of this show, is that nothing happens in any way, shape, or form for television. This is about real people, and you don't come back quickly from what just happened. So I think there's a huge rift between them both. And Ace he goes on his own self-discovery journey. Like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and I'm going to just do me. And, I think that is part of this season is, I really do believe that the women lead the charge in a lot of ways, and that's super exciting to see as well. But behind that, Jack and Ace are just trying to be brothers again, and then hopefully partners.
So my last question, just really quickly, for both of you, are you guys super excited? And then there's so many new characters. Are there going to be like some fun moves? Anything that you can kind of tell us about? I'm just so happy that like the magic of wrestling is back with you guys.
I'm just really happy to be back. It's been a long time since we shot the show. As an artist, I do need people to see my work. It's an unfortunate thing, if the vain aspect of me. I do need people to see it and validate that I actually worked hard on something. So that's exciting. And I don't know. We have by the way, my daughter's sticking her bare butt against the glass window right now, trying to distract me. It's fun to be back. We have new characters, and just in general, if you're a wrestling fan, when the words cross promotion come up, okay, you just get excited. That's why I'm excited.
And you might see Ace find a little something of his own.
Up next is Robby Ramos, Maldonado, and Trey Tucker. We're coming back right away, kind of from where we left off. So where do we find all of your characters?
I mean, we start off like right after the state fair where we ended season 1. I don't want to give too much away, but he's excited for Crystal, what we saw happen there. And then there's some shared excitement that leads to some question marks. And I think, he's becomes a fun thing to get into. Like, okay, we saw him get injured, but now he's got this interest in Crystal, but he's not really in the ring anymore, but he still is a part. And there's a lot of, it gets a little bit complex for simple, loving Bobby, and it's fun to play.
Alan, what about you? Like, you're sitting like a badass. Look at you with the jacket. You just did it. So what's your character going through?
Rooster's the champ. He got what he wanted, and now it's the fight to maintain and keep it, and by any means necessary. And then you're just going to learn more about why he wants to be the champ and why it's so important, and the things outside of himself that you don't really recognize as you see Rooster as a very, about himself type of person. But when you dig deep, you find out that it's bigger than him. It's about his family. It's about his father. You get an opportunity to kind of explore the depth of Rooster. And in season 2, we really dive into that.
And then Robby, for you, you have such a sweet face. I love Diego. He's so cute and so sweet.
He's so adorable. He is.
He's so adorable. So, I mean, you're all adorable, but I mean, come on, look at Robby. So what can we see for your character with Diego coming up this season?
I mean, I think it's Diego's grappling with his identity, inside the ring and outside of it. And I think he's got some good mentors this season that are kind of, pointing him in the right or wrong direction, depending on how you look at it. But I think for Diego, yeah, it's going to be, it's a lot about finding out who he is and what does he want out of this business and kind of seeing a little bit of the dark side of where this business could take you. So, yeah.
Well, I want to ask the three of you. So what is it like working with each other? Who hates who? Give me all the information.
I can't stand Alan.
Stand them all. I'm listen. Nah, man, it's actually fun, man. Love these guys, man. We really got to bond season 1. We shot during the pandemic, so we had to be friends. So
It's forced.
we were all the friends we had, but with that we became family, and that's the cool part of being on the show, man. When behind the scenes and in between takes, man, we have some stories. Going to share those, but just know that
they're happening. Shenanigans are happening. I gotcha.
Like, I think one of the things that makes it work so well with everybody on screen is that we really like each other off camera, and we enjoy the time together. Sometimes you get in and you're gonna have a long day and you're kind of in the waiting area, and there's not sometimes it's quiet, right? But a lot of the time, we're chatting it up and having a good time, and you get. I think we've all commented on it at some point. Man, we got lucky because we don't have any assholes here. We have people who want to show up, do a great job, and like each other, and that's a fortunate thing, man. It's not always like that, so it's quite fortunate, and I love these guys and mostly Robby, but I love all of them, man. Alan's been giving me some great advice over the course of 2 seasons, being around Chris and Mary, who are just veterans. It really does. We're tight, man, and it's a nice thing, and it just kind of happened, which is really fortunate too. It wasn't a super forced endeavor, which is I think that pays off on screen.
Yeah, I think it starts from the top too, which is our leader, our showrunner Michael Malley, sets the tone for the whole set, and it's real loose on set, man, and everyone's kind of picking on each other, laughing at each other, and it's all
Mike is everybody's sort of dad, man. He's always making sure we're taking pictures.
That's true, bro. Yeah, that's true.
He's big with photos.
Making a family experience. So
he is a family experience.
He sets the tone, man. He definitely sets the tone.
That's true.
I feel like he's America's dad because we all grew up with him.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely is. Yeah.
Next up is Mary McCormack. I wanted to ask you, your character, I find Willie to be so strong and she's so independent. And I feel like she's kind of like the boss of all these guys and kind of keeping everyone together. Last season, she had a lot going on personally. What can we kind of expect, or what can you tease for this season for her? Because she goes through a lot.
She does. And I think this season, we see she starts the women's division of the promotion, which is really exciting and fun. And I think it's for Willie, that was her dream. I think she always wanted to be in the ring, and I think so her becoming a mentor to Crystal and then watching Crystal's dreams come true is a little like fulfilling her own dreams. So it's both exciting and a little bit sad, I think. It's really fun. That's and I love Kelli. So I love all those scenes I get to do.
I know, it was so great when she grabbed the belt last season.
So great how they used that to open up the women's division. They could have just had me going maybe we should start a women's division. But I think it's so much more creative how, all of a sudden she has this belt and she's the champ and they're like, well, how do we sustain that? It's not believable if she's kicking everyone's butt, all the men's butt every week. And it's also, it's not sustainable to have her being beaten up by a man after a man after man. So I think it's great how they sort of used that storyline to open up this whole other world, which is realistic and wonderful. That Heels is tackling women's wrestling.
Yeah. And it was so powerful because it was such a powerful move that she saved it, risked everything, but got it. And then it becomes this whole big thing. So
great. And she's so great in it. I mean, Kelli in season 2 is also really wonderful. Just to watch her in the ring is incredible.
Well, Well, what are you most looking forward to? Because there is that expansion of the women, but then you also have the Spade brothers, as usual, the roller coaster with them and the up and down. And I feel like a lot of times, Willie's kind of in the middle or sort of trying to help and sort of trying to stay out of it. So where is she with them now that they're kind of separated-ish?
Yeah, I mean, their separation sort of allows her to start booking matches and writing. So I think she's almost like just, she's so used to like managing all of them and their emotional roller coaster. But their emotional roller coaster in season 2 is what allows her to get her foot in the door and sort of become this thing that I think she's always wanted to be. I think she's got like a new lease on life in season 2 because of their kookiness.
Because they're crazy. What can we expect too, now that she's like a badass boss? I mean, you've always played, she's always been a badass all throughout season 1, but she's a badass boss now. So with the guys kind of like in their own world and trying to deal with each other and family and all the issues and the tragedy and stuff that comes with them, with you get to step in and kind of take control. So what does that look like when the Spade brothers, if they do, get themselves together and come back? Is there going to be some kind of trouble with all of you?
Interesting. Hopefully we get a season 3 to find out.
Basically, for fans that are watching the show and for women in particular like me, it's very exciting to see this kind of expansion and see where you're going to take it and where you're going to go with it. I saw everything, but I'm not going to give anything away. But for you, what are you most excited about for fans to see? And do you think this will help open up to, I think we all can relate to the show, but I do think this does help in particular for women to relate to the show and really get an understanding of wrestling and what it's like. What does all this mean to you that you're the spearhead of it?
It's really fun. I mean, look, it's also realistic. It's like women's wrestling is alive. I mean, it's a huge industry internationally. It's not like a small thing. So we can't do a wrestling show without doing it. So I think it's great. I think it's believable that it didn't exist in season 1. And if you look at how small Duffy is, it's like a tiny, tiny little town with this tiny, tiny broke independent wrestling promotion. But I think now it's like, we have to do that. We have to. And I think it's great. It's fun. It's fun to watch women's wrestling. It's alive. It's the same as men's, except better.
Do you ever think you'll see yourself in the ring? And
I want to get in the ring.
Yeah. You do? That's so exciting.
I mean, I jumped off the roof. But I want to get in the ring. I really do.
Oh my gosh.
So they're letting a woman my age get in the ring. We'll see.
You're like 20 years old. What are you talking about? We'll get you.
I like your style.
We'll have to manifest that. What was one of your favorite lines? Because I love your lines. And like sometimes I want to say them in my own life. Like I want to like memorize them and use them because they're so good.
God, I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Is it fun saying them though? Like crazy stuff you get to say?
She's a badass. I mean, I love that scene. I know it's probably my favorite lines from the season were in that scene, but I won't remember them now. But when I, I pull Crystal into the little prop room and just give her a what for, like I push her up against the wall and yell at her. I love all that shit.
Up next is Alison Luff. I'm going to start off first with we come back and basically Stacy and Jack are not in a good space and they're separated, which is very odd because this is a couple that is very strong and together. And, even at times I think Ace jokes, they never have a fight kind of thing. So what was that dynamic like coming back on and not really filming so much with Steve and Amell and kind of doing your own thing and living separately and portraying all of that?
It was different at first, but I will say that something I have learned is that I think their strength comes through how they handle confrontation and their strength prevails through confrontation. Like I think any good relationship has a little confrontation and it depends on how you handle yourself in discord. And that's something that Stacy is really good at in regards to holding her partner accountable. She's not somebody that I always talk about her being like the queen of accountability because she won't just sit back and like take something. She's holding someone accountable who made about her with certain standards of communication and family first. And she does that. And I think that is a sign of a good partner. If you have somebody that doesn't care enough to fight, in a healthy way, then that's kind of apathetic. And then it probably is going to end in another way. So they find strength, I think, through confrontation and through how they handle that, even though it's not always the easiest and sometimes it's extremely draining. I think that goes the same for real life. I think that you have to have discord in relationships, but it's all about how you handle the discord. It's different people leading different lives. So it was fun to explore that with Steven. It was fun to explore that with the other characters and how they're impacted by our rocky place. It was really fun to navigate her finding her mistakes and her faults in all of it. And maybe where she can let up a little bit or have grace for her partner.
Well, we don't like when mom and dad fight.
I know. No one likes it when mom and dad.
We don't like it. But I agree with you though, in terms of strength, because when they kind of sort of work things out, you guys are stronger than ever. And then, Stacey sort of kind of enters into the world. I feel like in the beginning, she was kind of like against it and trying to push it away and not really interested in the wrestling. And then she kind of enters in and is super smart and starting to try to make changes proactively to protect it. So what was that also like, kind of entering? Because now you're like filming with all the guys, you're filming with all the wrestlers, like you're really in it, and you weren't in it as much last season. So it was so fun for me to see you in that world, in that environment.
It's fun. And I think it builds to Stacey. She's a woman of her word, right? I mean, she's always talking about how she's prioritizing her family and how her family comes first. But something that makes her family happy is the DWL, and that's important. And even if she doesn't get it right away, I think what she learns is that it's important to him. And his happiness is important, because if he's not happy, then they're not going to have a happy relationship. They're not going to have a happy family. And that doesn't mean sacrificing her needs for the DWL, but I think she realizes, okay, if this is going to be something in our life, then I need to get my hands on it, because I know how to help you make it better. And I have a place there. And when he then wants her there as well, it's everybody wants to be wanted. And she does show up with a lot of strengths that she has to offer. And, she and Willie are very, very different women. And they're both very, very strong-willed women in their own ways. But they bring a different energy to the DWL. And I don't think that the DWL had a Stacey energy or a maternal energy or an empathetic energy there. And everyone needs that, no matter how rough and tumbly and wrestly you are. So her relationship with all the guys and with Crystal just only grew. And that was so fun. I loved being more involved in the DWL.
So I have to ask too, because I was talking to Mary about this and how, there's an expansion and there's women coming in, which I'm so excited that there's women wrestlers coming in. Would you, or do you think your character would ever get into the ring and wrestle?
I think I could see Stacey getting on the mic. I couldn't necessarily see her getting in the ring. I think because I don't think Jack would want her in the ring either. Not that she couldn't make her own decisions, but I could see her more so getting on the mic, because we know she's a performer. We know she likes to sing. We know she can hold her own in a conversation, and people can't get in a word edgewise when she's got something to say. So I think her place, if anything, in the ring would be on the mic. And I think that would be really cool.
I wanted to ask you, there's an episode where we kind of learn a little bit about a prior pregnancy that might not have happened and like things like that. So is that a hint, do you think, for like season 3 that we might get another Spade, that you might end up pregnant? I was like keeping my fingers crossed for another little baby.
I don't know. I mean, they've laid a couple Easter eggs there. So there's that scene with Barbara when she reveals that she had a miscarriage and that she had to have that taken care of. And then, there was also a scene somewhere in season 1. Oh, when she wanted to get a job and she had just gotten the job at the Piggly Wiggly, and she's on the phone in the kitchen talking to Jack. And she was like, we said we were going to have more kids and that hasn't happened. So I'm kind of just like, I feel like my time as an at-home mom right now, I feel like I'm twiddling my thumbs. Thomas doesn't need me right now. And we don't have any more kids at the moment. And we never really did, even though we said we were going to. And so she's looking for another purpose. I don't think that it would be, I think they're trying to navigate their family as of now, and they've got a lot on their plate, but they're a strong couple in the end. They could make anything work. Who knows? Stacey wouldn't mind. She wouldn't care.
I know. I wanted.
Jack would probably freak out.
Yeah, he would definitely
freak out. But
yeah, he would freak out. You're definitely the character that's, I feel like, the stronger one, and he says it. I mean, he always says it and gives you credit for it and says like you're smarter and stronger and comes to you. But yeah, he would freak out and probably panic, and you would be like, "It's fine. We'll work it out." I was just like keeping my fingers crossed. I'm like, I hope for season 3 that they have a baby, because I just think it would be fun to see you guys, because we missed all of that. We didn't get to see any of that.
A dog or a baby. I tell the writers that all the time. I'm like, they need a dog.
Give them something.
Right?
To go kind of even further, I wanted to ask you too. I asked everybody this. Tom is very heavy. King Tom, the father Tom, is very heavy this season, and it leans very heavy on all of them. How do you think that Tom leans on you or affects you? Is it through proxy because of your relationship with Jack, or is it, that you had a relationship with with him? Like, how does that whole thing kind of affect your character?
Stacey definitely had a relationship with him, but I do think that, the majority of the consequences of, if that's the right word, of his actions are by proxy and are just through the fact that she's now dealing with a man and a husband and a grown man that is innately has not learned how to communicate and his emotions and feel his emotions. And that's a lot of hard work to undo for anyone. I mean, and we all know that as grown adults. Like, we're all trying to work through our trauma in a healthy way. And like today, people are getting better at it, but not everyone has the resources that everyone has. And so they definitely did have a relationship, but I've always kind of viewed it as, nothing as close as like Jack and his father, but they definitely had, I think, a good relationship. She was always around and, they've been together since college. So she's watched a lot of it, but I think it would be hard for anyone to have a close relationship with Tom, considering we learned that a lot of his life was secret.
Yeah. And I feel like, especially for season 1, I think we saw the most of his influence in the brothers. And I feel like this season, we're seeing a lot of growth, and we're seeing the growth come from what we're seeing that we have before with Tom. So it was a very interesting difference between the 2 seasons, but it was so entertaining and interesting to see how far they've come and how much they've pushed through with everything. And that's everybody. That includes you, that includes anyone that was kind of like related to the situation. I will save this for obviously after it airs. I'm traumatized. The ending when they're both on the, so obviously you have Ace and Jack, this ultimate huge wrestling match. I was so into it and invested. And then when he says, oh, well, I can't get up, Jack tells Ace, I can't get up, you get up. And Ace go, no, that's not part of the story. Like, you're supposed to get up. And they're going back and forth. And then you realize Jack can't get up. And then, we kind of see you run over and you're like, what's the matter? And then he says, I can't feel my legs. And it ends. And I was like, no, I yelled out loud because I was like, no. So when you read that, what was that whole scene like? And what are you feeling going into, hopefully, crossing fingers, a season 3? What was that whole experience like reading that?
I remember when I read that, I just looked at my husband and I was like, do you want to know? Should I tell you? No, I shouldn't tell you. Do you want to know? I'll tell you. Should I tell you? And I didn't tell him for like weeks. And then finally we were filming the episode and I was like, do you want to know? And he was like, I don't want to know. And I was like, okay, I'll tell you. What was so heartbreaking to me when I was reading it was the 3 minutes before that, when everyone just started to doubt him again and just to say like, don't do this again. Like, what a jerk, that type of thing. That's what that got me in just thinking, man, he is such a selfish person. He's going to abandon the script again on this night and screw everything up. That was what really got me. And then the fact that, that wasn't the case. I think that's what got me the most. And I don't know what happens. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that it could go. I just know that I'm sure glad that they're in a good place now and she will stand by his side no matter what.
Like, really quickly, when I saw it, I was like, oh no, is he doing that? And then I doubted it. When you watched it, I felt awful because then I felt just exactly what you said. I was like, oh my God, I'm a horrible person because why did I think that he would do that? Like, because he was so gung-ho on making this work. And so, yeah, so when you see all those clips of everybody kind of reacting and them all kind of being mad at him, and my heart just like sunk, and then for it to literally just end. I mean, my mouth was like open. So it was horrible. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. But I feel like, if anything, if there's rehab, like whatever that has to happen, I think that you guys will come through and pull it off. And it's amazing for an actor. So I'm excited to see like where they go from there. But I'm scarred. I cannot get out of my brain. So I had to bring it up with you really quickly because I keep thinking about it. There's so many fans that love the show that have been literally counting down. We've waited so long. I mean, it was so exciting to get a premiere date. And, finally the trailer was released yesterday. I was so happy to like put that out. So we're so excited. So I always like to give everyone a chance to just talk to the fans because, like I said, they don't get the honor like I do to talk to you. So is there anything you want to say to them that have been like counting down the days, super excited for season 2, and what they can kind of expect coming in with your character and this crazy Spade world?
Well, I mean, I know that I can speak on behalf of everyone who works on Heels because we would all talk about it while we were filming. We love the show just as much. Like we are fans and we want to do right by all of you and we want you all to love it because we love telling this story and we love these characters. And the whole time filming season 2, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to film a season 2 if people were not watching and people weren't loving it and people didn't feel like it was an important story to tell. Like we think it's an important story to tell. So it's been a joy and I hope we can keep doing it because we love it. We love the reactions. We wanted to get it out there sooner. I mean, I think we'd do it live if we could for everyone just because we love it so much. So thank you for watching and please keep watching and tell everyone you know about it. Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for you. So that's what I would say.
And finally, here's Kelli Berglund. I want to talk about your character, obviously, and the journey that she's on the season. Crystal grabbed the belt at the end of last season, and I think me and you talked about that, and I was so excited that it was a woman, and I was like pumped, and we come back, and there's a little like, back and forth with it, but ultimately you have the belt. Yeah. So what did that feel like? And I wanted to ask you specifically about the scene when you try it on, and it falls. You're so cute. So like it falls and then you're like, I'm just gonna hold it. And it was just like such a cute scene. So what does it mean for you as an actor and then as your character to be the one that has the belt?
They're sort of one and the same because I have such a strong connection to Crystal. I really just shifted my mindset the entire time during filming. Like you are Crystal. And especially when you're in the ring, I talk about this too. Like you have to put yourself in a headspace where you want the audience to believe what is happening, even though it's scripted and some of the hits and stuff aren't necessarily real. It's like when you're an actor playing a wrestler that's trying to sell. So it's like, you just have to like really shift your mindset to be so in the zone that like, I just was Crystal for all of these months. It meant so much. That little moment in the bathroom is one of my favorite moments because it is just her like living her glory. And it's so sweet. And she's just so like genuinely excited. And it could have gone a few different ways. She could have been sitting there like so unsure, like, did I do the right thing? Is Jack going to kill me? What's happening with Ace? But she saved everyone from embarrassing themselves and having a terrible finish and gave them a show and an ending. And she proved herself enough at this point to be able to wear that belt and to at least continue to fight for it. And just like, she just deserved that moment of happiness so hard. And I'm so glad that it made the show.
I also love too, I asked you, I'm like laughing because when I look back at our interviews from season 1, I was like, do you think you'll get in the ring? And of course, we later talked about the finale and I was like, oh, like I didn't see that coming, that she was going to like, yes, wrestle and do all the things. But this season, your character kind of sparks, I mean, along with Willie, but your character in particular is really the inspiration behind bringing women, which is something that didn't happen for a very long time in real life when you were watching wrestling. So again, another milestone and huge thing for you as an actor and as a character. So what is that like? I don't even know what that feels like or how to encompass or process that your character is an inspiration for bringing more women.
There's so many meanings behind what has happened with Crystal, not only for her own sanity and her own journey, but also, the question even being raised about a women's league and how she is just like stirring up the conversation, because that's the question is like, who is Crystal going to wrestle? I mean, there's all these men here, but what next? And I'm so glad that she is the reason why this league is being pushed in this direction to be inclusive of a women's league. We've seen how successful it is. People love Crystal. We see all these little comments being made, like people love Crystal. It's Crystal Mania. Like we have to like capitalize on this. And also like, she just so deserves this. So it's huge for the show. And it was just really great, to be the force behind it.
And, last season, guys were kind of like slowly getting introduced into wrestling. How has your kind of wrestling ability changed from season 1 to 2? Because you're in the ring a lot this season.
I'm in the ring so much. I don't know that there's an episode where I'm not in the ring, but it changed a lot. I did probably 10 times as much training for season 2 that I did for season 1. They really wanted me to come in in with a little more muscle, a little more bulk to look a little bit more like a wrestler. So it was a lot of training, a lot of getting in the ring and learning new things. I have an incredible stunt double who makes me look really good. But I did learn a lot of things on my own. All of the selling in between bumps and, big giant moves, like that's just as important as the big fancy tricks. So I didn't do any of that because we only saw a quick little bit at the end of season 1 of her just pretty much, deciding to get in the ring and, okay, we're doing this right now. There's a lot more thought put into all of these matches because they're real matches. So I learned so much. My body was so sore for so many months, but I think it turned out amazing. I'm so proud of it.
Looks so good because I was telling Mike the wrestling storyline itself is interesting enough that if this show was like a real wrestling show, like it was just airing, I said, and then on top of that, you have this storyline with these actual characters. So I'm like, two storylines in my brain going on at the same time, and they're both good. And you guys upped it from last season, which was even crazier. I mean, it's just so intense and so good. Do you struggle at all? I mean, to keep the storylines straight because there are two, or is it easy because you are playing both?
Oh yeah, there are times where I was like, what's going on? There's what's happening with, like the FWG and DWL crossover and who's with who, but then who's actually with who, like as Crystal Tyler, the person, and not just this like, fun heel turn or this fun gimmick that we're doing. So there were a few times where like especially when you're shooting things out of order, you really have to like nail it down. You have to sit with your script and like write down like this is how she is feeling, this is what is happening, because it's so easy to get caught up in it. There are some times though where they're similar enough, Crystal wanting to have success and Crystal wanting to be the best, like that's kind of a theme that like runs throughout both storylines. But yeah, it's super easy to get confused with what's actually going on.
I have to quickly ask, we have Crystal with Bobby. I love Bobby, I love Trey, I love you guys together. You're so cute. But when, we have the new character that Ace is doing and he comes over and you dye his hair, I felt something there. So like, what's happening there? Because I feel like he's turning into a better person. And was there a moment? And like, do you think that there might be like hope for the two of them? And I hope no one asks me that the ones that love Bobby, but
it's so funny. Like people are like hardcore team Bobby or team Ace.
No, so don't be at me, but I'm just saying there's a moment when you were doing his hair.
Yeah, I will tell you, I think there's always going to be something with Crystal and Ace. Season 1 was rough in terms of their relationship and the toxicity of it all. I think throughout it all, though, there is a love that they have for each other and an appreciation. And it is very purposely in season 2 that they have certain moments where, even if it's just for a moment, that they're crossing paths, or it's like a look that they share, that it's like, there's a thing still. But I love that it hasn't gotten in the way too much enough to prevent this Bobby relationship, which is very healthy and supportive and loving, to bloom. I love that she kind of tells Ace like, yeah, like Bobby and I are a thing. And if anything, it just, sets a fire under Ace to be like, if I really want this girl, like, what do I have to do? I think there's a sort of loose triangle that is present throughout the second season. And it does get more interesting because it's so easy to hate Ace season 1 in the way that he treats Crystal. But then the guy that he slowly starts to become and his just shift on perspective in life, it's like he is like a better guy than we thought. And is that thing always going to be there? And I think the answer is yes. And I don't know where it necessarily goes. Season 3, like things could get very interesting, especially if Crystal's career like booms. Is she going to be able to balance a relationship with Bobby? Would it be easier because Ace understands this world a little bit more and they're doing it together, both being wrestlers, as long as Bobby's injured? I don't know, but I am absolutely telling you, there is no solid stop to that yet. I don't think.
I know. I felt a moment. And again, I love Bobby. I love him. But you deny that moment. Like, and he came to you. I mean, he could have went to Jack, and Jack, I mean, of course would have made fun of him and all that stuff. But he could have went to anyone and he came to you. So I was like,
yeah, I think there's a reason. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason he trusted her enough to confide in her and trust that she could help bring his vision to life, because she takes it seriously. She respects him as a wrestler and as a person that wants to be successful. I think they can totally agree on that front.
And I also have to add too, I don't know if it was you, a combination of you and the wardrobe, a wardrobe decision, but I really love the outfits, the change. There's a significant change. You can almost see like in season 1, her maybe like finding outfits or trying to put stuff together. And then in season 2, it's like she's a wrestler. Like she is a badass bitch coming down, like full outfits. So I don't know if it was or how that worked out, but I love the outfits that you guys decided for her.
Yeah, I do too. All of it has a purpose. The hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, the attitude. Like it all shifted this season. I think the outfit that we see Crystal in a lot season 1, you know, with like the boots and the skirt and the pigtails, I think that's probably something that, you know, Ace told her to wear, or that Willie was like, go get something, you know, that pushes your chest together and is a short skirt. The audience will love it. Like, you know, it's just like, I think she was just doing anything to be seen, to have a place somewhere at the DWL. So she was willing to do it. But when we see Crystal like kind of in her off time season 1, like she doesn't dress like that. You know, she's a little bit cooler than that. So that's who Crystal is. And this like badass girl that starts to come out season 2, super prevalent in the outfits. And like, yeah, the first outfit that I think you see where I really wrestle, it's like these green pants and this white tank that's got Crystal written on it and all these like little doodles that represent her. And she's got like leather strands in her hair and she's got green and gold makeup. Like it was so much fun to play around with that. And it still feels very like DIY almost, because Crystal doesn't have a lot of money and she's probably got to DIY a lot of stuff, but it's just got this edge to it that is so different, and it just continues on throughout the whole season. It was so much fun.
White outfit I loved, and I loved that it was pants and it was like a full suit, and like, oh, it was a moment. And I loved it.
It is a moment. It was a choice. We did that. We wanted something striking. We wanted something unexpected in the 8th episode that was very different, honestly, from anything else she's ever worn. And it was just something that also would capture the attention of these people at Continuum. Like, who is that girl? That is an iconic outfit.
It was definitely a moment, and I was yelling out loud because I was like, yes. So I want to ask you first, the last 2 minutes. I'm like scarred for life, don't know what to do. So I know how you felt when you read it, and then what you're like kind of guessing or hoping for as we cross our fingers for season 3. And then second part of the question is, I get to talk to you, but there's so many fans that have waited so long, and we're like, yes, it's about damn time. We have a premiere date. So I always like to give you guys a chance to say anything that you want to say to the fans that just really adore you and love you and are so happy you're back.
Oh, okay. So to answer the first part of your question, yeah, reading and then watching it was like, I'm sure I reacted the same way that everyone else is going to react. It is like an, oh my God moment. It's heartbreaking. It's confusing. I've tried to get answers like out of Mike and, you know, other writers, like, what do you think happens? Oh my God, like, where do we go from here? And we don't know yet. We don't even, hopefully we get to continue telling this story, but it is just heartbreaking. And it was one of the last things that I think I expected. I don't know, maybe other people might have picked up on it in earlier on in the season, seeing Jack try to execute this move just to like live up to his dad's standards. Like maybe they saw this coming, but I didn't. So that was crazy to watch. And then the second part of your question, honestly, I really appreciate any person that has taken the time to watch this show, to talk about this show, to just feel something in experiencing this show. It starts with the writing, and a lot of it starts with Mike O'Malley and how he just wears his heart on his sleeve and is just such a genuinely like loving human. We really want that to come through with our show. And we all care about this show so much, and we care about each other and these characters. And the characters, you know, care about each other so much and their passion and their dreams. We just hope that people feel that. And I think we expand on it a lot this season, and we hope we get to continue on with it. But I just have so much gratitude for being a part of this show and for anyone that has been a part of it as a participant, as a viewer. Like, it's been unreal. So the fact that I get to talk about it and sit here and even do anything involving this show is just really awesome. So
hope you guys enjoyed listening to the cast of Heels talk about what we could expect for its upcoming new season. The new season of the hit small town wrestling drama will premiere Friday, July 28th at midnight Eastern Standard Time on the Starz app and on all Starz streaming and on-demand platforms. On linear, it will debut on Starz at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US and in Canada. So make sure you check it out. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.